Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I'm going to be explaining all about my experience in university. A lot of you guys have asked for this kind of video because a lot of you know that I dropped out of university. I actually dropped out twice. A lot of you guys want to hear about my experience and everything that happened. So this video might be long, it might be confusing. I hope I don't forget anything. Are you looking for me? Are you looking for me? You can stay in here, just don't bring toys in. So I think I'm just gonna start at the very beginning when I was at the end of high school applying for university and just kind of like explain the timeline of everything that happened. Oh, he's gonna bring a toy in. He's giving me the ultimate puppy dog eyes. Starting in my senior year of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had a YouTube channel, but I was never like, I'm not gonna go to university. I'm gonna do YouTube and be a YouTuber. Like, that wasn't in my head at the time. And I would say there was kind of this pressure in school of like having to know what university you wanna go to and what degree you wanna do and everything like that. The school that I went to, I felt like everyone had it figured out and that everyone had already planned exactly what degree they wanted and what they wanted to be, that I was like the only one that didn't know what they wanted to do. So I was really confused and just ended up applying for some things that I was interested in. I applied to do journalism because I was always interested in like media, news reporting, and I thought that maybe journalism could take me that path. And I also applied for education to be a primary school teacher. Primary school is just the Australian version of elementary school. I was in senior year and I had applied for journalism, and I kind of just convinced myself that that was like a good idea. In my heart, I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. I got accepted into my first preference, which was a Bachelor of Journalism at the University of Queensland in Australia. So I thought I was gonna go to uni and do journalism, but like right before university actually started, sorry about Milo in the background. He's just gonna probably play with his toys. Right before university started, this was 2014. That was so long ago. I decided to change and do a Bachelor of Education. So I had to kind of reapply and I got re-accepted into that as well. So I started university doing my Bachelor of Education at the University of Queensland. So that was in the city of Brisbane, which is where I was living. So I didn't move out of home. The whole time at university, I didn't move out of home. Yeah, I guess before like explaining my whole university story, I don't think I had like a proper experience with university. I know like some people say university is like the best time of their life and they just party so much and like meet their best friends there. I didn't really have that. I kind of kept to myself and I didn't party at all. I went to 0 university college parties. I was doing education at university and I just didn't enjoy it. I found it so boring. I love kids and I always kind of dreamed of being a teacher. I just thought that that would be such a fitting job. I love kids, and like when I was little I would always play like schools with my little brother. I'd always like force him to be like my student. There was like a couple nice people that like I would sit with in lectures. I didn't like make any best friends while I was there, and there was this one guy that would like always talk to me and always sit with me that always gave me crap about like having Instagram followers, which like at the time I had about 10,000, and he still like just gave me crap for it all the time, which was so weird. I was dating someone at that university too. Looking back on it, I just feel like I wasted time there and that like I spent time hanging out with him and not working as well as I should have. So in general, I didn't enjoy my classes and I'd also travel in an hour on the train. So because I wasn't enjoying it, I remember telling my parents that I wanted to do online school instead and I wanted to still study education. So I could just do it like in my own space, at my own time, at my own schedule. I would have to like travel in an hour to go to uni for a couple hours, to travel back an hour. So I basically just wanted to transfer to online school. I think my parents were hesitant in the beginning about me transferring to online school, but they ended up being supportive and I started doing that for the second semester. So I was only doing in-person college for 1 semester and then I changed to online for my second semester, and I liked that more. I definitely liked that I could do it at my own time. The classes that I took was slightly more interesting. Long story short, I still didn't really like it. Honestly, like that part of my life I really forget most about. So I can't actually remember like every single detail about like university in person, university online. Like I completely forget about it. But I just know that I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't enjoying studying education. So this is when something happened. I dropped out of online school, but I didn't tell my parents. Now, I am like the least rebellious child you could ever meet. I'm not a rebellious type, so this was like, bad memories. I even just hate thinking about this because like it just so wasn't a me thing to do. I love my parents and I just feel so bad for doing this. They would always ask me about my grades and like how I did in this subject and how I did with this assignment, and I would just say like, oh, like it hasn't come in yet, my marks haven't come in yet. I do not recommend this at all. Do not keep anything from your parents. That was the biggest mistake like I've ever done. Like I don't know why I didn't just talk to them about it. I honestly can't remember. I was probably just scared of like letting them down, or scared that they'd get angry that I like want to leave this and I keep changing my mind. I don't really remember, thankfully, because that wasn't a good time. Why did I do that? Like, I hope you guys are watching this and I hope you're just as confused as I am. Like, why did I do that? Anyway, so I dropped out and it was like a couple months of keeping it a secret and I don't think anyone knew. I knew that I eventually just like had to come clean. I had no idea how to do it because I just knew that they'd be so upset and so disappointed in me. I ended up writing them a letter and it was a really long letter. Don't remember what I said in it, but all I remember was I wrote it, I left it on their bed, and I locked myself in the bathroom and I had a bath or I had a shower or something. I just like didn't want to be there when they read the letter. I don't remember what happened. Thank goodness I don't remember anything else. Why did I do that? Like that was literally, oh my gosh, is he gonna fall asleep? I feel like that part of my life, like graduating high school and I was dating a guy, I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know where I was going. And so I think that whole time in my life wasn't the best time in my life. Like I think I was still figuring myself out. That part of my life I just don't like thinking about. I only remember one thing that I wrote in that letter. I literally don't remember anything else. I wrote like, I know it sounds crazy, but I know that God has a big plan for me. I just don't know what it is yet. And I think it's so funny how life works and how God works because of this job I'm doing now. Moving on from that, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to just go study something else just to go study something else. So I decided to look for full-time work. And I was kind of just like looking for like a receptionist job or an admin job, photography assistant, because I really liked photography. While I was applying for jobs and I got a couple interview like calls, it kind of clicked in my head like what I wanted to do, and that was graphic design. I don't really know how it like came about, but I've always loved graphic design. I've always loved Photoshop. When I was younger, I created a newsletter for my family called like the Bower News. That is so dorky. That's so dorky. I'm sure my parents still have some somewhere. And I like interviewed people and just created this like newsletter for the family that I'd print out. I remember I interviewed my grandparents and they were like the front page story. I've always loved design. Like I've always been interested in that, but I always kept it as my hobby. I don't know why, I just felt like I wasn't good enough to have it as a profession. Long story short, I was really excited and I decided that I really wanted to do graphic design and that is what I wanted to be. And I applied and I got accepted. I got accepted into Griffith University, which was on the Gold Coast. I started graphic design and I absolutely loved it. I loved my classes. I was getting really good grades. I really felt like I was in the right place. In saying that, my classes were sometimes boring because they were teaching everyone from the very beginning, and I had already used Photoshop. I'd already used like all the programs that we were using. I did find my classes boring sometimes, only because I found it really easy, but I didn't mind because I got really great grades. I still didn't make like best friends while I was there. Basically, the university that I was going to then was a 3-hour trip away from where I lived. So I caught 2 trains and 1 bus to get there each way. So it would be 6 hours of travel. So I still lived at home the entire time. And then something happened on the train which just really scared me from going on the train again. And I think that's something that I can talk about. I might make a separate video about it. I ended up getting a new car and then I would drive to uni. So that was still an hour drive there and back. back, but I didn't mind. Okay, so I am in graphic design, right? That's where we are in the story. I did my first year and I absolutely loved it. I got amazing grades and I was just so happy with where I was. To get my bachelor, it was only 3 years, so I'd already completed the first year. So at the end of that year, I had a breakup. A lot of things were happening. It was actually kind of like a lifestyle change. So that all happened, and that's when I planned my trip to America. And I was actually working as a graphic designer, not full-time. I only had a couple days a week that I went in and worked. I was the assistant to the graphic designer, so I wasn't doing like all the stuff by myself, but there was me and someone else that did it too. It was a winery, so I also worked some events there with serving wine and stuff like that. I was working as the designer and I got a couple weeks off to go to America, and this was during my summer break because in Australia summer is over Christmas. That trip to America is where I met Gabe and we started dating. By then I didn't have any idea in my head that I would drop out. Like, he knew that I was in school, in college, and I still had 2 years to go until I graduated. My plan still when I went back to school was to continue, not to drop out. That was not my plan at all. I continued doing my degree and continued my relationship with Gabe. I just had a lot of opportunities to come over to America. The first one was when I was flying over to go to Coachella with him. Once we had announced our relationship and we were filming stuff together, my social media grew a lot, and I was also like starting to do YouTube full-time-ish. Like, I was uploading all the time and my Instagram grew a lot. I was just given a lot of opportunities to come over here. So it started to become difficult, but I was still determined to do it. I remember this one trip I planned and I needed a couple weeks off. So for a photography class that I was taking, I remember emailing my teacher and being like, hey, I'm actually gonna be like out of the country for a couple weeks, so I'm gonna have to hand in my work a couple weeks early. And it was like 4 big assessments, so it was 4 big things that I would have had to hand in early, but I didn't mind. I was determined to do it. I remember he replied, he basically just told me if I was going to travel so much, it wouldn't be a smart idea to continue doing my studies and that I should choose one or the other. Basically, it was worded nicer than that, and that was a really tough email to get, and I was kind of emotional about it and I was praying about it a lot. Like, every drive I drove an hour to university and an hour back home, so I had a lot of time to pray, and so I'd always pray driving to university just about like the right thing to do. I told my mum about it and she was like the most supportive. I think she really saw my passion for YouTube and everything that was happening. Everything was just kind of happening like very smoothly. So I talked to my mum and then I went and talked to my dad about it, and he was the same. And I really thought that they would be more like, no, like, you need to finish this degree, you're not dropping out again, but they weren't. I think they just understood where my passions were. They also knew how serious like Gabe and I were about each other. After a lot of prayer, after a lot of advice and a lot of like discussion, I decided to drop out, and it was a very scary decision because by then I was basically half finished my degree. Out of a 3-year degree, like, I only had a 1.5 years to go. I don't regret dropping out of graphic design because just the way things happened after I dropped out and I decided to take YouTube on full-time, I was able to travel as much as I wanted. Everything happened for a reason. That was my very long story about what happened with my university. Dropping out isn't something that I would recommend. If you do drop out, definitely tell your parents first. Do not do what I did. The camera battery just died, so this might look a little different now. So last night I told my parents that I was going to film this video, and I just chatted to mum a little bit. I was like, hey, remember that time that like I dropped out and I didn't tell you? I just asked them a couple questions. I asked them what their advice was for someone who might be in grade 12 with no clue what to do, because essentially that was me. I didn't know what I was going to do after school, and I just felt a little pressured, I think, from school to like go to university straight away. So I did, after like knowing like what I did and everything, like what their advice would be. And they said, if you're not sure on what you want to do, you could take a gap year so you can really work it out without rushing into something you may or may not enjoy or really be passionate about, which is very true and very good advice. If I was going to change anything about my university experience story, I would have just jumped straight into graphic design. That would have been really interesting if that is the way that it played out, because then the time that I was gonna drop out, maybe I wouldn't have dropped out because I would have been in my final year. That's so interesting. But everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. Aside from that, I think I wish I would have just gone into work for a year. I feel like that might have helped me like figure out what I wanted to do. That's what my parents meant by having a gap year. Or some people have gap years and they travel, but I definitely don't want you to now go to your parents and be like, Jess, Conte told me to have a gap year, because like, you know, everyone is different. Your parents might want different things for you. Take some time to really think about what interests you and what are your hobbies and what kind of career path might interest you. Especially if you graduate, you're only like 17 or 18. I was 17 when I graduated. Like, that is so young. You have so many years to go to university and to figure out what you want to do. So just don't rush into it if you don't think that it's something that you're passionate about. But if you're in high school right now and you're in the same boat as me and you just like didn't know what you wanted to do, you might have some hobbies in this and hobby in that, but you just like don't know what to do. Don't worry, you're not alone, I guarantee it. So I think that is all for my university experience video. I hope you guys were able to follow along with that and kind of understand everything that I was saying. I know it was sort of all over the place. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it and took something from it. I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week and I will see you in my next video. Bye.